But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my
MetaWalk live stream number 2. Ready? Let's go.
Lay down and I play dead and I stay dead. Baby, you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get
Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? No sound. Okay. Let's see, settings. Front camera, audio. Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, you can hear me. Okay. Just had to make one little adjustment. This was a little adjustment in the streaming software. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, who have we got in here? We got Hotsky in there. We've got X in there. We've got Daniel Dan, David Jensen. Looks like we got a grand total of 21 people, which is kind of more than I thought, because we did this kind of the last second. But I thought it was worth checking out one of the very few Cardano live virtual world projects. So right now we are in FutureFest. As you can see, this is the Yummy Island FutureFest virtual world. Let's see if we can turn it. I'll turn it up a little bit. You guys tell me if the music's too loud, if I'm too loud. Okay, it looks like I'm walking through some water here. What do we got? We got waterfalls. We've got a bunch of people bouncing around in balls. Riding on jet skis. Okay, it's a bit of chaos in here. Maybe, is anybody in the comments inside FutureFest right now? Okay, is anybody in the comments inside FutureFest right now? So if I turn this off, you guys can hear me a little bit better. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. David Jensen says GTA 6 leaked. Can't wait for that metaverse. Okay, let's see. I can't tell if you guys can still hear me here. Daniel Dan says, yeah. X says, I can't hear you now. Okay, Daniel Dan. X says, absolutely can't hear. Okay, let me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I just took that stream. Absolutely can't hear. X can't hear anything. Daniel Dan says, yeah, he can hear. Okay, let me check. Daniel Dan can hear. Okay. Yes, sound works. David Rodriguez, thank you. Daniel Dan, thank you. Ivan, thank you. Let me know where everybody's at. Where's everybody at today? Where's everybody from today? Sticks 96. Yep. Sorry, X. If you can't, you might just be trolling, but if you can't hear, then that doesn't work. Hondria says meta in Arabic means dead. Hopefully my audio is not meta. Your voice is loud and clear the whole time. Smothcoin. Okay, thank you. Maybe X was just trolling me a little bit. Okay. Is anybody in the comments? Where are you guys at physically? Where are you guys at in the world right now? Is it Beijing? Emmanuel Kanan is in Beijing. Ivan's in San Jose. David Jensen is in Chicago. Is anyone, irrespective of your physical location, is anyone actually in FutureFest right now? Daniel Dan's in Colombia. X says, I can hear. Sarcasm never works for me on the internet. Okay, that's actually a relief. I was worried the whole thing was ruined. I was worried I'd ruined it for everybody because you couldn't hear a thing. Smothcoin says on land. Okay, that's good enough. Jason is in Kentucky. Great. Is anybody in FutureFest? We've got a good collection. Homeless Miner is in Jackson, Tennessee. David's in New York. Jackswagon is in Maine. Is anyone actually in FutureFest? Ada Veteran, why no pre-notice? I thought I'd just jump on. Jump on. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish my normal video for tonight, and I didn't want to replace the normal video with this live stream. I wanted to do both, but I wasn't sure if I could get both done. It turned out I made it, so I didn't want to give anybody notice if I wasn't going to be able to do it. I didn't want to disappoint people. So Ivan says, nah, just taking a walk outside, listening on YouTube. Daniel says, nope. Okay, fair enough. What do you guys think? How would you guys rate, just based on what you can see? I know I haven't walked around very much. Let me try to walk around a little bit. It's kind of hard to walk around in there, to move around and see your comments at the same time. So let me go back over to that screen and kind of move around. And you guys can tell me what you think. Let me see. I'm not too good with the controls on this thing. Okay, we've got a couple people right next to me. Zoe Wolf, showing this person has balloons attached to them. Big love. Zoe Wolf, a very positive person. Balloons attached to them, all about love. That sounds great. Let me see if I can look up. Okay, there we go. Looking up. Maybe if I zoom in, all you see is the back of me. Okay, so I think this is the best like wide angle view. I'm going to turn up the music in here just a tiny bit, and we'll see if you guys can hear it, A, and if it's too loud, B. But maybe just a little bit of background music so you can actually hear the artist that's on stage here. It's probably a good idea. Oh, looks like I accidentally walked over some kind of a little launch pad there. Oh, sorry. Now I've got you guys underwater here. Not intentional. I think it's my camera angle. Let me see if I can adjust the camera angle. Okay, that's a little better. So I think there's just one stage. If anybody knows more about FutureFest than me, which is probably anybody who knows anything about it, FutureFest, let me know. Is there more than one stage, or is it just this one stage? Okay. David says, will there be punch and pie in FutureFest? I don't know. Those both sound great. I mean, if the punch has a little booze in it, probably more fun than regular punch. Smothcoin says, only vicariously. Let's go. What is FutureFest? It's kind of FutureFest has these little metaverse music venues, as you can see here. A veteran says, I'm very excited. Thanks. Great. Shawnage says, OMG, I made the live stream a rare event for me. Thank you for joining, Shawnage. D, is it still on Twitch? Yeah, I'm sure they're still live streaming on Twitch. I didn't even know where they were live streaming. Apparently it's Twitch, but it looks like I'm sure the live stream is still going. Daniel Dan says, looks like Sea of Thieves had a child with Second Life. Okay, fair enough. I wish I had the gear to go to the Nedverse. I'm going to turn off the music and hear It's a Tiny Day. I don't know what that means. Matt, how do you get on there? It's at futurefest.io. Jump on and come over here, and you'll be in this video probably. Is FutureFest yet another metaverse, or is it a festival like Cardano Conference last year? So FutureFest occasionally does these events where they have real DJs come on and play sets, and it's going to go for, we're kind of catching the tail end of it. It's going to go for a little while longer here, and then it'll pick back up tomorrow. Homeless Miner says, laugh out loud. Voice text picked up your voice. That's pretty funny. Ivan says, looks like there should be music. Turn it on. Is that the chat in FutureFest? Yeah, that's the chat in FutureFest. Can you guys hear the FutureFest music now? I tried to turn it on. I'm hoping you guys can actually hear it. Yes, that is the chat in FutureFest. Let's see what the chat in FutureFest says. IFG, yo cats. How do I put my blank on website? I think I'm on the boat. WJ Tech 9. I tried to type at the wrong time and fell. Apparently, you should be aware that typing in the wrong time and falling is a danger here. So maybe don't try to type and fall at the same time. I think I would have, if there was actually danger of like colliding with the jet ski, I think I would have just experienced it there. So I think I can say it's safe. The jet ski will not like collide with you and create a fatality for your FutureFest character here. Last time I went in here, I had trouble getting my little FutureFest avatar to actually appear. This time, no trouble at all. Super smooth process. And there's little boats. There's little inflatable rafts. If I walk over to the inflatable raft, what happens here? Okay, the inflatable rafts are the launch pads that they've had in similar FutureFest events in the past. Look at the lighting. Check out that lighting there, guys. I like it. This is pretty good. I think we should probably try to commandeer one of the jet skis. I'm kind of thinking we should go after the jet skis. What do you guys think? Work shirt says hit the fireworks. D says deluxe box. Smothcoin, no, yeah, Smothcoin says mobile not supported. Are you using your own NFT? Yes, but I've changed the color of the NFT. They have a little customization tab you can see on the right there, so you can change the color and facial expression, those kind of things. But this time I actually did get my my avatar to work. Last time I couldn't. Sunrise. Yeah, it does look like sunrise. Let me see if I can get the camera angle to look over there. I don't know. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, you can see it. It is sunrise. When I was jumping in here earlier before I started live streaming, it was actually still dark. So we're kind of, it's too bad I didn't start like an hour earlier. We could have seen the transition. Somebody's asking for fireworks. There you go. There's Shawnage. Shawnage is right there. Hey, Shawnage, if you're on Twitter, shoot me an email address on Twitter at Army Spies, and I'll throw you on the live stream. I'll give you a link to jump on the live stream. Okay. Sunrise looks cool. I agree. Sunrise does look cool. Homeless Miner says, do I need special gear to go to the metaverse? Meaning all I have is a smartphone. Depends on the metaverse, but I think you're just fine. In a lot of metaverses, they're going to have mobile as well, so I think you'll be just fine. Let me go over to okay, here's Shawnage over on Twitter. Let me shoot him a link to jump on. Okay. Okay, Shawnage, you should now have the link over at your Twitter account. Ada Veteran says, it looks like this is associated with Yummy NFT's website. Do you see any Yummy avatars or all the bot types? Yeah, this is the FutureFest Yummy Island event. So there should be a bunch of Naru pets in here. In fact, I think I can see one now. Let me go back over to that tab. Yeah, you can see kind of right here. This person seems to have a Naru pet, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. If anybody else is here who's on the live stream, if anybody else is around here, let me know. Raise your hand like Sonage did, and I'll throw you on the live stream. We got to get on that jet ski. I don't know. Is there only one? Is there only one jet ski? I kind of have a feeling there's only one jet ski. But oh, okay. I'm like drowning myself. That's no good, guys. We don't want to. I don't know about the capability. Oh, press E to use. Oh, we're on the jet ski, guys. We're so on the jet ski. Here, Shawnee, do you want to jump on? Let me see if I can. I'm not so good at controlling jet ski. Sorry, bro. Yeah, jump on, bro. See, the boat's kind of getting in the way. Shawnage is on the giant boat now. He's on the giant yellow boat. The giant yellow boat is not cooperating with our camera angles here. Okay, see if you can get on, Shawnage. Can you get on back? Oh, he's on. Is he on? I think he's on. Nope. That was a lie. Sorry, that was a lie, guys. Shawnage was not on. Okay, let me see if... Oh, there's Shawnage. Okay, Shawnage is in there now too. Shawnage, can you hear me? And is your mic working?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, nice, dude. What do you think about this FutureFest event? Is it the first time you've been in here, or
this is interesting? The collision doesn't work on the jet ski. It like if you move, it just keeps me where I'm at. So it doesn't like work as like the boat did, but
that's too bad. I was hoping we could be on the jet ski at the same time.
I think the only way is to kind of like artificially do it where I like kind of like toggle forward while you're going at the same time.
Like you'll be like kind of walking underwater and your head will be popping out as if your head's riding on the jet ski.
Well, it's like if you go slow, I could probably keep up with you.
Okay, let me see if I can start moving.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
I just was off in the timing.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to go slow. Let's see if we got Matt. We have Matt F. Is that Matt F on there now as well? For a second.
The boat doesn't operate like that. Like it actually moves me, but the jet ski does not.
It seems like the boat is more like the forklifts have been in past events. I think the forklifts were kind of like that.
There's someone else on a jet ski and they're riding it fine. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, they've got a. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they seem to have a passenger. Okay,
I wonder if it's like a... Oh, here. There's a queue ability. What does that do? That's just for like... Oh, that's like my own vehicle. Never mind.
Oh, that's right. You're on the scooter now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I love this sort of chaos involved in these, because it makes me start thinking about the game applications of something like this. But So if you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but where are you located at right now?
Somewhere in the North American continent. We'll just
Okay, you're in North America as well. Okay, I definitely could have guessed that by your accent. So what do you think about Cardano metaverses in general? What do you think about the whole metaverse concept?
I'm really interested in it. There's certain ones that I like. So I really like building aspects and like that whole economy around there. And there's one metaverse in particular that like really has my interest. That kind of has like that, I don't know, it has like a Satisfactory vibe to it. So I'm really curious to see like what they're going to deliver on that. And like that alone is like piquing my interest most.
Dude, if you want to, you can call them out. No reason to
Sure. Yeah. So like it's the cornucopias one is what I'm looking at the most.
Okay, yeah. Cornucopias has they've done a great job, I think, of garnering a huge chunk of the sort of Cardano public imagination. Like I run into a lot of people and I ask them, what project, not just what metaverse project, but what are you looking forward to the most in Cardano? And cornucopias is not an infrequent answer.
I mean, like hearing that they were one of the first that I like really kind of ran into in the Cardano space that was like Unreal Engine 5, and seeing some of the graphics and stuff was really interesting to me. All the little like gamification and aspects that they're like that they're planning on is like very ambitious, and I'm really curious to see where it goes.
I agree with that. They're when I saw the sort of supply chain flow chart for their sort of resource, oh wow, I just jumped on the jet ski can go on the launch pads apparently. Didn't realize that, but that is definitely the case. When I saw that little flow chart, that supply chain flow chart they had for their kind of resource management system, I think the only way to describe that is very, very ambitious. I'm so curious. I'm trying to hold back my enthusiasm for pretty much all the Cardano Metaverse projects because it's software, it's game development, and I'm always like, man, let's see what it actually looks like when it launches. Because I think, of course, there will be some deviations from expectations. I think some projects will be better than people expect. Some will be worse than they expect. But I'm really curious to see how much the really ambitious projects deliver.
I definitely agree there. Like just like even looking at their like what that tech tree for producing bread is like is so insane. And like I'm looking at it like also as someone that has 2 decades of software engineering in my profession, and I'm just like that itself is insane, plus all the other stuff that they're offering.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to have been in one of those meetings where they're thinking about the entire workflow. I've no idea what like workflow management system they use, but I've definitely been exposed to a bunch of them. And I just imagine these gigantic trees, these gigantic workflow trees of all the things they're trying to develop. And then somebody's like, hey, why don't we make making bread a 37-step process? How does everybody feel about that?
So what's really interesting, have you played a game like Satisfactory before?
I'm not familiar with Satisfactory. I've definitely played games that had, especially back in the day, like kind of like absurdly complex processes for producing different things, way, way back in the day. But I haven't played Satisfactory. Could you describe it?
Yeah, sure. So it's like it's kind of a 3D version of Factorio. So the idea is like you have like, you start off and you make like basic components, and then you make additional factories that create more complex components, and this just spirals out of control, and it becomes like a min-max thing, and really like stretches on a lot of those kind of like building and automation things that kind of programmers really strive towards. And it's that aspect of it alone, like I do that every day, and it's like being able to get that trigger and like that satisfaction around building something, streamlining it to what I want it to, and then also seeing the visualization of it is really interesting for me.
Yeah, I always wonder about sort of it's almost like the user adoption game theoretics on that, right? It's like, because if you make people have been asking me to go out in the ocean. I actually didn't think I could, but it turns out you can go out in the ocean. I'm so curious about how particular developers are thinking about the kind of learning curve on that thing, because as you and I both know from, being involved, let's say being involved with games or playing games like that, these really complex systems like that, it's awesome because you can get like the degenerate, like super involvement in that, and people become obsessed with it, doing the million step process thing to craft, some little thing that's going to give them some ability or something in the game. But then at the same time, if you go too far in that direction, the learning curve, figuring out how to do the thing, becomes too complex, and you might lose some users right at the start who don't want to, go through that learning curve. What do you think about that? What do you think is the right balance? Do you think you should just go as far down that road as possible because people are going to embrace it once you'll have these like super users who want to embrace that super hard? Or what do you think about that?
So there's already an aspect of that. Like I look at it in my past experience in terms of like World of Warcraft. So there's already those guys that like all they want to do is like go out and mine nodes and do all that like ticky-tack stuff, But then there's other people that all they want to do is like flip stuff in the auction house and like do weird social aspects there where they're engaging with people on like the general like chat. And so I think there's roles for everyone there. It's just curious like how they're going to define that economy and have it like kind of become a thing.
I think you're right. That's got to be the right answer. The right answer has got to be to have the functionality for the people who are going to become super degen about those kinds of little micro systems within the game, but also make it possible for people who don't want to do that stuff to play the game, enjoy it, and not necessarily have to engage in the crazy kind of resource crafting thing. I think even it's funny you mentioned mining, because I think even Charles in some of his AMAs has talked about becoming super involved in the mining of some resource in some game he played back in the day, and he created some bot to like insta mine some resource that was super valuable in the game. So it's gonna be interesting to see cornucopias try to balance that, and it looks like Virtua is also kind of on a similar track as far as the crafting resource management thing. So it looks like we'll have like multiple Cardano Metaverses kind of attacking the same problem. How complicated do you make these systems without alienating some users, but allowing other users to become super involved in those little tiny fine-grained details?
Yeah, I think it's going to be if they spread out, if they spread the resources too thin, they're just going to drown. So like, I'm curious to see how it's going to work out in that aspect.
Yeah, as far as the development of these metaverses, that's the thing I worry about the most. I mean, it's like, it's pretty easy to create like basically a slide that you can throw up on, YouTube video drops showing something very ambitious, but actually including that in, a game, essentially a metaverse project, a blockchain metaverse project is like a different animal entirely. I kind of wonder the extent to which the projects are like, okay, we should show everything we dare dream, and if it turns out we can't quite get it built, we can always come back and tell people this isn't going to be included in the initial release of the game, but we'll get around to this eventually.
Yeah, I agree. It's how far out is that? I think the first thing is there's so many metaverses out here right now. Like getting something that's like tangible and that really starts to capture a lot of users and drive people in is going to be, I think, is part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it reminds me sort of the communication proposition to blockchains in general, because I think blockchains like base layers even blockchain projects it's sort of like if they're not really ambitious when they lay out their goals, when they sort of paint the picture to the possible users of what this project could become, if they're not overly ambitious, everybody else is going to be super overly ambitious, if not outright lying, right? And so if you give a realistic expectation as to what they can expect, you know, especially in the initial releases of whatever the thing is, you're going to be outshined in terms of expectation by your competitors who might be, you know, we can say euphemistically being ambitious, but maybe even outright lying about what they might produce. So I'm not saying that's the case with our metaverse projects. I'm just saying in general in crypto, we've seen this, like projects who promise the world seem to do okay, even if they don't deliver that. They just kind of like start crafting expectations as they go along, and sometimes they end up in the exact same place as one of their competitors who promised much less, but because they promised more, even sometimes we could say nefariously, even knowing they weren't going to deliver it, they kind of end up in the same place because, you know, they don't lose all those users who jumped on because of the unrealistic picture they painted, you know.
100%. I mean, like, I really feel we're going through that right now with, like, you know, the adoption of the merge and Solana and those kind of things, like versus Cardano, which everyone else may perceive as slow.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was so apparent with the merge. I think a lot of us over on the Cardano side, we were, you know, saying like really simple, straightforward things like, hey, the merge isn't going to speed up your blockchain or make it cheaper, which were things that they said straight up on the Ethereum Foundation website. And man, in a lot of cases, like it was so, even just those simple, straightforward statements from the Ethereum Foundation were so unbelievable to some of the, you know, rank and file Ethereum fans that they would like straight up want to fight you on social media if you said those things, until they saw that that's exactly what the Ethereum Foundation was saying. So yeah, I mean, it's like in that case, I mean, I can't really fault the people behind the merge, but definitely there was a lot of it seemed like there was a lot of misrepresentation going on by others of what was actually gonna take place in the merge. So it's a really interesting sort of risk calculus, you know, like I'm not saying that Ethereum was doing this necessarily, but certainly people in Ethereum were doing this, painting this unrealistic picture of what, you know, any particular development is going to produce, you know, versus being more realistic. We'll see. Cardano is definitely, Cardano might be the antithesis of that in some ways. In Cardano, you know, we do have like, you know, Charles painting a very like enthusiastic picture of what Cardano can be, but it because our community is so much smaller, I think we don't have like this legion of, you know, influencers, you know, painting the completely unrealistic picture of what Cardano might be, at least in the short term. I don't know. How overhyped do you think Cardano? How on the scale of overhyped to underhyped versus other top 10 blockchains? How do you think Cardano fits?
That's a really tough question to answer. I feel that capabilities wise, I feel like we're there, but I feel like you said, like we're such a small audience compared to the other blockchains, especially Ethereum and Solana, like, and some of the projects that are there. It's really hard. It's hard to compete that way, and I almost wonder if we're just late to the game on that part. It's really like this last couple of weeks with like the WAP.eth and those guys really like kind of vomiting all over our Twitter space has been really eye-opening.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting phenomenon. I tried to avoid, like, I was conflicted about whether or not to cover that in the videos, because I was like, on the one hand, it's a very interesting sort of social phenomenon occurring right now, but on the other hand, I was like, it actually doesn't matter at all. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I do agree with you. The social phenomenon around it is very interesting, that like Well, you look at where do people get responses from in social media? It's usually when like it's negative or like there's like people will respond if it's like if it has like a hateful emotion towards it, or if it's like grossly incorrect.
Man,
And I think
you
they're
just
just leaning on it. They're leaning on it so hard.
man, you just identified one of the most, depending on your perspective, one of the most either troubling or fascinating aspects of, kind of like this era of social interaction. It's very obvious. What you said is there's a lot of very obvious veracity to what you just said, that the very negative emotion eliciting things are the ones that get the most attention in social media. And it's like just in general, and it's nowhere less true than in crypto, because we have a fair dose of tribalism in crypto, right? So it's like it's even maybe even amplified in crypto. So it's like the more bombastic and negative you are, the more attention you're going to get. And obviously a lot of influencers of various types have figured this out on social media, and they've figured out they can engagement farm very, very effectively by coming to a community, in crypto, Cardano, or any other community, basically, and just like, talking so much shit about that community, and their follower count is just going to skyrocket.
You're right. It's rather interesting. And then like the veil came off for me with that, like just within the last like 24 hours, where I'm realizing that like things he invested in like bumped up like 25%, like some NFT, and I'm like, oh god, like this is exactly what I thought, exactly why I blocked all this stuff. It was such a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean that's why I didn't cover any of it on the channel. I was a little bit conflicted because I was like, it's actually kind of fun to watch it go down, but I didn't want to be a part of that engagement farming. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I didn't want to feed into that, because I was like, it's not good for Cardano, and it's not really. It only helps the people executing on the engagement farming. Like I don't think anybody else really gets anything out of it. It's like creates a little drama for a couple days, light drama, but I don't think it really produces anything constructive except for the person doing the engagement farming.
Yeah, it's exactly like the whole like the testnet is insanely broken. It's that thing, and like now it's like not even a deal. Like, oh, what, the testnet did what it was supposed to? Okay, great.
Yeah, that was an interesting case of exactly this phenomenon we're talking about. Because I think optimistically, I want to give the people involved in that credit for probably having very good intentions, but at the same time, it did do exactly the same thing as some of these other engagement farming, attempts. I mean, there was a lot of attention focused on the people, bringing the, I almost don't even want to say like negative concern, but the people bringing the concern. It definitely focused a lot of attention on them. It was the functional equivalent of the same engagement farming. Just because of the history of the people involved, though, I want to give them definitely. For some reason, I want to cast it in a positive light and say that probably they were just like, they care so much about the ecosystem that they were not intentionally engaging in that just for the sake of engagement farming. I don't know. That's the way in my heart, that's the way I want to look at it. Maybe that's completely wrong. That's the way I want to look at it.
Yeah, I was on the SBO call when Adam he just like he chimed in, and I mean he came in hot, and it was you could tell it was like he was emotional, like in a way, and he sounded like his voice wasn't heard. And it was really, I'm like, this guy is coming in like he's guns blazing. I'm like, I don't understand what the issue is here and why he's so heated about it. And and then the stuff unfolded a day or two later on Twitter, or at least it came to my space. And then you guys started posting about it. It was really eye-opening there to like, okay, yeah, this guy had a legitimate reason. But like I just felt like it kind of was a bit much, but I'm glad it all happened still.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me, my perspective is very, very similar to yours, almost exactly. I was kind of taken aback by, I was just like, man, why all the, like, I get the, I guess in my mind, I was definitely separating the emotion from the actual content of the communication. And same reaction. I was like, why all the emotion attached to this? Which is definitely the piece that leads me to want to believe that it was all like very, sorry guys. I was too inactive. My bad. Let me see how long. This could be bad. This could take a second to get back in there, but let's see how we do. But yeah, I kind of had the same reaction. I was like, why all the emotion? And the emotion is definitely what leads me to believe that, we're just talking about some people who are very passionate about the ecosystem, obviously just based on their previous history in the ecosystem. And, they, yeah, I think, like a lot of people, maybe even the people involved, maybe they wish now that it had been handled differently or something. But I think I also agree with you when you say like it's all fine now. Like I think it all worked out for the better. Like I think probably IOG got better at collaborating with the community, because of this. And if we're gonna have drama, right now in Cardano, that's probably like the least damaging type of drama we could have, maybe.
For sure, yeah.
But it did create some very negative fodder in the mainstream crypto press. People, like always in Cardano, people took these sound bites from our community and painted them as if Cardano were completely broken or something. Okay, sorry guys, I may have to remove this page and reload real quick. Let me do that real quick. How about you, Shauna? Are you still active inside
Yeah,
inside the island here?
I unfortunately had too many hours played on the MMO to know to keep myself active. So I've been like just climbing a tree and trying to see out what mechanically nonsense I can do with it.
Man, I was doing a good job at first of just like moving my character around a little bit while we're talking, but then I always get distracted. I kind of knew this would happen today, but okay. Oh, let's see. Maybe it'll let me resume the session in exactly the same place. Let's see. Okay.
I guess while you have this lull, I do want to say I've been listening to you for well over a year, and
thank you.
It's usually something I listen to like on my way to drop my daughter off at daycare, and if it wasn't for this channel, I probably would have bailed. It's just I just love the content that you provide.
Oh man, thank you so much for saying that. I've had, it's kind of interesting when I set out to sort of create the channel. Like I did think a lot about what purpose I hoped the channel would use. And back in the last, like, man, I've been in crypto since 2013-ish, and there have been like various YouTube channels along the way. And the ones I listened to most frequently were ones that I would like turn on while I was in the shower or drinking coffee in the morning. A lot of people have given me the exact same example you just did when they're dropping their kids off for work. And I always really enjoyed those channels. So I sort of did. It's very satisfying to me to hear that, because I sort of created this channel to be something that people could tune into on the regular, and have it kind of in the mornings, just like I had those previous channels in crypto in the morning. So it's very satisfying for me to hear that. So thanks for that.
Okay, you do a great job with all the the theories on stuff, and the way that you word it it's sometimes hilarious. The intros too.
I try. I worry sometimes people can't tell when I'm kidding, because a lot of times I'm actually joking when I say stuff, and then I'll get messages from people and they're like, hey, I really have to disagree with you on, X thing. And I'm like, that was totally a joke.
I just always imagine like the Vitamin Butters having like this California surfer attitude whenever you have this persona going. This is awesome.
People get a little crazy too. Sometimes I get messages from people and they're like, listen, I appreciate the humor involved, but I really don't think you are appreciating the role that Vitalik Buterin has played in crypto in general, and I'd appreciate it if you make fun of him. So people should know it's all out of love. Like I was involved, as a community member in Ethereum before I had ever heard the name Cardano or ever heard Charles speak or anything like that. It's all out of love. And I do very much appreciate the role that Ethereum's played in the space, but man, it's hard. It's hard not to be very excited about Cardano. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. It's very nice of you to say. Okay, guys, unfortunately, they've restarted me at the beginning. Let me see if I can get the music back to a level that'll allow us to talk. And I'll try to navigate back over to where Shawnage is. Okay, and I'll put that on the screen right now. Sorry, I'm juggling a bunch of tabs to make all this happen. And everybody already knows I'm terrible at the sharing screen seamlessly thing. So let's see if I can catch the... Okay, here we go. Okay, I think we're back in action. How about, let's see. Okay, hopefully you guys can see my screen. Oh, there's Shawnage. Yep. Okay, should we go back over to the main area here?
It wasn't until you said to turn down the volume. I actually just distanced myself from the main event so that I can not have the volume be blaring.
Let me turn it down. Let me turn it down even a little bit more from where we are here. Okay, yeah, there's that button with the global volume. You just kind of turn down the whole volume for the thing.
That was huge.
Okay. Here's a question. Let me maybe you can help me answer some of these questions. Hotsky says vitamin B, baby. I like Jackswagon's approach. Jackswagon says, first thing I do in the morning is check the network health, then watch AOS. Very much appreciate you watching the show. Life in China with Patrick says coffee and AOS, great combo. Let us know how things are going in China, Patrick. You've been with the channel for a long time, but let me address this before we get to that one. Ben the Ripper. So AOS is an ETH refugee. So yeah, but not really, because I was very deep in Bitcoin sort of prior to the block size civil war we experienced. And then when Ethereum came along, I couldn't deny a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, which I wasn't, but a lot of Bitcoin maximalists were willing to deny the value of programmability and expressivity in blockchain. So when Ethereum came along, it was very attractive to me. And I even started learning JavaScript just for the purpose of learning Solidity. I was learning JavaScript so that I could do a better job of learning Solidity. But as soon as I heard Charles start talking about what he wanted to do with Cardano, it wasn't so much like I was a refugee from Ethereum. It was like I started looking more and more at Ethereum, and as soon as I heard Charles talking about what he wanted to do with Cardano, instantly I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to jump on board this whole Cardano concept because a lot of the things make more sense to me. And one of the biggest things was slashing. I won't go into that now, but that's something I talk about a lot on the channel. But everything made sense to me about Cardano. So I kind of chose Cardano over Ethereum. But Jackswagon also says, do you think the CFTC DAO lawsuit has any legs? Well, I think it doesn't really. It's you have to think about this there are multiple ways to think about this kind of thing, right? So with big regulators like the CFTC, it's sort of like, how much trouble do you want, right? Because once they sink their teeth in, once you're a target of a gigantic federal regulator like that in North America or Europe, they don't really, they're not trying to lose. They're not trying to, unclench their teeth. So they're going to go after you. And once they've sunk their teeth in, it's like, how much trouble do you want? Do you want to spend the next, number of years fighting them like Ripple XRP has, it's like, how much trouble do you want? So it's like, it almost doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't even matter as much how the legal issues are finally adjudicated. What matters is that you're already on their radar, and it's going to be a bad couple years, if that's the road you want to go down. So I don't know. Oh, Ben the Ripper says he's just joking about being an ETH refugee. Thank you. I took that personally. I was like, I'm not an ETH refugee. How much? Okay, Shawnage, how much? Okay, so I take it from your comments. Like, obviously, you're kind of thinking about some bigger overarching issues in Cardano. Just thinking about stake pool things and being involved in software development. How much do you, given your perspective inside the Cardano ecosystem, how much do you worry about regulatory issues? Is that something you just kind of don't worry about, or is that something you think about a lot? How is that for you? Are you still there, Shawnage?
Oh, sorry. I was refreshing my drink. What's up?
Oh, no worries. I was just asking. So, given your just from your perspective inside the Cardano ecosystem, so obviously you're thinking about some bigger overarching issues far beyond those that a regular sort of retail consumer of Cardano would be thinking about. You're thinking about stake pool issues and some bigger overarching issues. How much do you worry or think about the regulatory issues? Is this something you think about, or is that something you're just kind of like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to worry about there's plenty of other things to worry about in an ecosystem like Cardano.
Yeah, I think with the uncertainty that we have today, I can't really get too tied down with that particular aspect. So I think it's coming for a lot of chains, but we don't know what degree it's going to impact things.
Man, I'm glad you answered that way, because I always think about, obviously it's something I focus on a lot on the channel, but when I think about it in the abstract, it's one of those things I think about, and I hope people in the Cardano ecosystem, I hope that's like a low priority for them. I think we have people in the Cardano ecosystem who are very worried about it at IOG, like probably the council's office at IOG and other people like that. But I'm glad I always hope that people in the Cardano ecosystem are focused on other things. That's like a low priority.
I think some of the products that were offered that you described, earlier today, or I guess it would be that you recorded yesterday, around like what AADA offers, I think that gets into like more regulatory risk. I think all of it's still like security kind of bound stuff, and whether or not who it involves in terms of a regulatory body is a whole nother thing. But I feel like it's too unknown right now to be like, oh no, I gotta like, mitigate this stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even we're in such a weird place, because I've said it a million times on the channel, so I won't get back into it here, but it's like we really need a wholesale reimagining, and I'm using that term imagining on purpose, but we need a wholesale reimagining of our regulations that apply to things like commodities and securities, because the stuff we're doing is way too far outside of anything that could have been imagined in 1933 or 1934. We just need to re-up our whole regulatory system when it comes to all those things, because we're so far outside of that galaxy. It's not even worth speculating on how things are going to turn out, because if they don't do a wholesale reconfiguring of everything, it's not going to work. It's just going to be like patches on patches. So okay, so somebody called it. Like a few seconds before I got kicked off, somebody was like, you're going to get kicked off. And sure enough, I was kicked off. So let me get back in here. I'm going to try to do a better job of moving my finger. I keep talking to Shawnage and forgetting to move my finger so my character moves. But let me see how quick I can get back in here, guys.
Oh, that's a good call out. I did move. right as you said that.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry.
I'm still in, but yeah, when I went to go
get
a drink and stuff, and you're asking me questions, I'm like, oh God, I got to pay attention on this now.
Yeah. Looks like it's still showing me like 34 people on this server. Looks like it's going to let me
It was showing me low numbers too. I don't know if they do some sort of like distributed, type thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm always trying to figure out. I'm like, because it looks like it was going to show me, like I kind of like assumed it was showing me all the server choices, but it only showed me one, and there were only 34 people on that server. What do you think? Do you think there actually are multiple servers running that right now, or I think we got a totality of 34 people?
I think so. I'm like looking at the main event, and there's actually like some bots that don't have, or like, there's avatars that don't have names over them. So it may be that there are 34 on this particular server. Maybe they have multiple servers, but it only really showed us one.
Okay. That's consistent with what I've seen. Okay, now there's 35. I had to go through this process twice. Okay, it looks like it's going to start me back at the beginning. Last time I was in here, there was actually, I won't get into it. I was gonna get into something that was gonna be a bad OPSEC disclosure, but I won't get into that. Hotsky, all good. Give me time to like the stream. Thank you, Ben the Ripper. Thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm trying to get in here, guys. Continue. I think I've done it correctly this time. Enter. Okay, there's Shawnage. Yep. Thank you. Shawnage just came and met me at the dock again. Let me throw that back up here. I apologize profusely for my amateurish inability to stay in the stream, guys. Okay. I'm going to try to do a better job. I'm going to try to be a little bit more like Shawnage here. Let me head back over. Let me turn the volume down here, guys. Okay, maybe that's a little too low. Let me go a little higher. Okay, we're gonna try to come back over to the stage. Hey, Shawnage, what do you think? Do you think this is the only stage, or do you think we've got multiple stages going on here?
I'm curious. It seems like it's the only one based on the way that it's presented. But
that's what I'm assuming.
We'll
yeah, that's what I'm assuming as well. Let me see if I can.
I want to know where this boat goes.
That's a question we haven't explored. Does the boat actually go anywhere? I didn't even consider that possibility, but maybe the boat does go somewhere. What do you think? Okay, let me ask you this from a development perspective. How easy or hard do you think it is for them to present such a good graphical representation of the DJ and have all this metaverse stuff going on simultaneously?
So I am more on the business side of development. I don't do game development.
Okay.
So I don't really know if I'm the person to ask for that.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'd be curious. I've always been kind of impressed with how sort of crisp the image is of the DJ in FutureFest, and we've got all these game-like interactions going on out here. So I'm also kind of curious what it's like for the DJ. Like, I assume, I mean, I guess best case scenario, I'm hoping the DJ can sort of like see, and maybe this is naive, but I would be almost hoping that the DJ would see some kind of representation of the crowd. But I'm afraid the DJ might just be like, looking into a camera with no representation of the crowd.
Yeah, I'd imagine something like that.
Yeah. Interesting. How many people in the chat, have you guys ever been in FutureFest or any other Cardano Metaverse? I mean, as far as Cardano Metaverse is where you can walk around, we've got Carta Station, where you can definitely walk around. We've got FutureFest, which is kind of an event-based metaverse, so you can occasionally move around. How many people in the chat have actually been in a Cardano-based metaverse? Smodcoin is pointing out you can dance, you can also tag. Yep, I've done both. In the video, I can't remember if I ever released it on the channel of the first time I was in FutureFest. Gaming BTC, AOS, you better have your full face helmet on right now, or this is not the real metaverse. I definitely have my camera off, if that counts. Oh, here we go. Here's an answer to our question from Workshirt. Think it's recorded. My friend was DJing earlier and chatting at the same time. Okay, so you think they sort of pre-record a session. It'd be interesting if they recorded the session sort of like before a live audience where they're actually performing. I guess I should just assume that they're just like pantomiming being in front of a live audience. Sam makes an understandable comment: World of Warcraft over Metaverse. What do you think about that, Shawnage? We already have things that, frustratingly already sort of meet a lot of the goals of a lot of blockchain metaverse projects. A lot of the goals minus like 10% NFT ownership thing. What do you think about this question of, definitely a lot of people ascribe to this theory, maybe we don't even need metaverses when we already have such advanced games?
It's a great thing. I almost wonder, like, so I look at, the cornucopias, for example. I look at that as like, is this a completely different universe outside of the Blizzard World of Warcraft or, just Warcraft era, which has an insane storyline. I wonder, like, could this be the start of an entirely different franchise and everything there? I believe like Lord of the Rings did something similar, but I feel like it really didn't take off like anything like World of Warcraft did, or even EverQuest.
Man, yeah, I mean, it's like the cultural penetration of World of Warcraft was so crazy. I remember.
Thank you all.
I can't. There's a story I really want to tell right now that I can't tell because it doxes me a little bit too much. But there's somebody,
I love you guys. Thank you again.
somebody I know who's the most
This is it.
improbable character to be addicted to World of Warcraft, and it's someone that people in the chat would know as a public figure. Some people would, and he's like the most improbable character to be addicted to World of Warcraft, and he was like, as near as I could tell, utterly addicted. The cultural penetration was so high. It was amazing to me when I figured this out. Ollie G says, I'm playing WoW right now. Ben the Ripper says, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No. I sadly, I can sadly say that I have a year game time played of World of Warcraft, and I haven't even touched it in like maybe 6 years, which is quite depressing.
When you say a year's played, are you talking about like 2,000 human hours?
Yeah.
I can believe it, man. I can believe it. It's super easy to rack up time in those games. I definitely figured that out in some people who maybe haven't listened to the channel for very long will be like shocked when I might be shocked when I say this, but even going back to the 90s when I would play games like Command and Conquer and Civilization, even then when games didn't really have hour counters, exactly, it's funny, it's exactly what Ollie G is saying right here as he's typing it as I say it, but it's incredible the time sink of some of these games. Even before they had hour counters, I was like amazed at the amount of time I was spending playing games like Command and Conquer and Civilization. And the level of sophistication of those games is exponentially lower than what's available today. And even back then, I was like playing those games, realizing how many hours I had just played these games. And I was like, man, this might actually be a society level problem. It's either going to be the greatest entertainment human society has ever encountered for some people, or it's going to be the biggest problem society has ever encountered. Even back in the 90s, you could already tell. I'm not counting the side-scrolling days in the 80s, which I was also a part of as a child. But maybe if I hadn't been a child, if I'd been playing those as an adult in the 80s, I also would have realized it then.
I'm sure we all have, stories of friends that have taken it too far, but I mean, you can extend it to addictions in general. But I got a coworker into World of Warcraft, and he ended up like taking off way too much. Like he took off like a month, and then requested more vacation days, and then just started taking unpaid days. And then like when he was in the office, all he was talking about was World of Warcraft, and they eventually had to let him go. And I'm like, oh, I kind of feel bad that I kind of started this, but I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, man, dude, I can appreciate that perspective. I kind of found myself I also understand what Ada Veteran's saying here. I decided I was spending so much time in WoW, I could go back to school and get a doctorate, so I did. I myself kind of had to take a starting in high school because academics were absurdly intensive for me in high school. I when I God, I don't know how old I was, probably like 16. I had to do kind of the same thing that Joe Rogan has sort of described with his own gaming. I just sort of had to put all games away for, I mean, basically it turned out to be like, a decade and a half or something. Oh God, somebody's posting about it right now. Right as I'm talking about it. Joe Rogan in the early 2000s spent $10,000 a month for the best internet connection to play games. Like, wow. Yeah, he was playing, I believe he was playing like Diablo and some of those id games. Quake, maybe. I think it was Quake. I think he was playing Quake. And he lived on top of some kind of a hill. And he had, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but I believe it was like he had like a fiber optic connection in like 1999 or something because he wanted the lowest latency possible to play the game. And then at a certain point, he realized this was going to interfere with his career, and he just put all games away. And it sounds like he's kind of refused to play since then because he realizes how much he loves them. That's kind of what happened to me when I was 15. I looked at how intensive academics were getting for myself, and I kind of had to put all gaming away. And I basically did not touch a controller, a keyboard for gaming purposes, at least, or a mouse for like a decade and a half, and I didn't touch anything. Ben the Ripper, I love this. Ben the Ripper, I'll never put my games down. Gaming is life.
I can agree. I have to kind of side with Ben there that if it wasn't for games, I wouldn't have gotten into programming that gave me the career that I have now that allows me to invest in crypto.
Man, I've heard so many people say that too. A lot of people got into tech because of their love of games. I've definitely in the past worked with a huge number, whole divisions of a company, and pretty much every single person in that division could tell the same story. I still go in waves even today. Like I'll sit down if there's some game I'm really enjoying. I'll sit down and play a lot for like maybe a month, and then I kind of have to put it away for like I'll put all gaming away for like 6 months at a time, which is super dissimilar to a lot of my friends, because a lot of my friends will just play, they'll just play, on the regular all the time, per week. They're kind of playing the same amount week after week, but I definitely go in waves. How about for you? Is it more of a constant thing, a constant drip, or do you go in waves?
I go in waves like you. I feel like it's almost like in the addiction part of it or whatever. As much as I don't want to admit it, it's like I'll like just be infatuated with something for a bit, and like just the whole goal is to be like mastery. And if it's like multiplayer, like I've like come to like concede that that's not possible. And then otherwise, like I'll just play it for a period of time until stuff just starts building up and I have to like take a break.
Yeah, that man, you used a word that definitely resonated with me when you mentioned mastery. I think that's the problem, right? The mastery thing. I think maybe a lot of us, I've always kind of suspected that a lot of us in crypto might have this in common. The problem with games, oh, by the way, thank you to Stix96 for reminding me to move. I just did it. Thank you. I think a lot of people in crypto, I don't know quite what it is. Maybe it's because we regard crypto as kind of like the mastery of money or something. But I think a lot of us have this same kind of perspective, and it manifests itself in games where we don't really quit because we don't like moderate how much we're playing, or we don't quit how much we're playing because we haven't achieved the mastery thing, right?
Yeah, like I just figured out that this wave runner, like I can go straight on the beach for as long as I want to. I can use it as a vehicle, but I can only go straight if I'm not on the water. Like I'm trying to figure out like how do I manipulate this thing?
I saw you do that. You cruised right past me, and I was like, "Oh, the Wave Runner is also an ATV." Like it goes, yeah. So you just did like one of the little twirl turns in the water, but on the land, you can just cruise right past, right?
Yeah, I feel like I can just go forever on the land.
Dude, much credit to the FutureFest team though, because I mean they could easily produce the same space without all these added elements like the forklifts normally or the wave runners here. I like that they add these like additional fun little things. Like, okay, right now Shawnage is pushing around an inflatable ball in the water. Like I'm sure that's some added development complexity. So I love that they include that.
I want you to try something if you can. If you can go over to the jet ski and then press E and see if you get on.
Okay, I was curious if you had tried this when I was commanding the jet. Oh, it works.
There we go.
It totally works. Okay, so it's E. All right, we can just kind of ride around. This is great.
Hold on. I somehow lost control of my mouth of the camera. There we go.
Let's go.
It's sort of weird because like it doesn't
It's jet ski time.
it like it has a weird like delay with the turning. Kind of not what I would expect, but I'm just kind of following where the boat is, so we can go see where the other jet skis are. I know this is where the jet skis are.
Oh, totally. I like that they allow us to go out in the bay. I honestly thought for sure there'd be some kind of a wall when we got to the edge of the cave there. So I love that they're letting us go out into the bay here.
So, and also I did realize that like if you beach too much, then like you can't go anymore. So it's like an elevation thing.
Interesting. Oh, okay. The elevation part makes sense. Okay. So that's kind of realistic because I mean that's sort of how it works with real jet skis. I mean, you can, if something's only an inch above the water, you could get up enough speed to cruise over it. But when you like beach it on sand and there's an incline, you're there's jumps.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out. Ooh. But like I gotta really hit it head on, and like it's really difficult to do in that short turn. So I'm gonna try to hit this other one.
Cool. Okay, if you don't mind saying, Ollie G has a good question. He says, "What ADA projects do you really like at the moment?" I talk about it all the time in the channel. My all-time favorite, always due to their mission, is World Mobile. I mean, like I can never move them out of my number one spot because I love their mission so much. But there's other projects besides sort of the real fi projects that I also like. Do you mind saying, Shawnage, what projects you look at? And maybe you don't even say what your favorite are, but what projects you look at and they kind of like capture your attention?
World Mobile is definitely one. That's top for me. I really don't have a preference on any other one. I really feel like I should say like Koti, with Jed, just because of the utility it's supposed to bring to our chain.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments for some reason just in the last couple of days. I've seen a lot of comments about the need for stable coins, that kind of thing. I'm always kind of torn. It's an interesting topic. I'm always torn about how finance centric we should be, which is sort of a weird thing to say because, I mean, we're talking about money. I mean, the whole point is we're in this cryptocurrency space. So, like you can make an argument it should all be finance based, but at the same time, I feel like there's so much more to it. There's so much more we can do with blockchains and like so much more to the human experience just besides the finance thing, So I'm always kind of torn, like how focused should we be on the finance thing?
Yeah, I definitely don't want it to be that like the only thing crypto is about is degen, NFT, PFP stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy to fall into that. I mean, even I have friends, real life friends, who don't even know about this channel and are super into crypto. And when I talk to them about crypto, all they want to talk about is their DeFi degen stuff, which is also interesting. I mean, it's like really interesting when you say to yourself, okay, the video game I'm playing is called DeFi, decentralized finance degeneracy. That's the name of the game. The metaverse I'm interested in is DeFi degeneracy. That's the game I'm going to play, and I'm going to try to win that game. I get that impulse because it is a game of sorts. But at the same time, I'm just like, man, you guys are so obsessed with, increasing the value of your portfolios. I feel like you're missing out on a lot of other like human experiences that are part of crypto.
Yeah, definitely. Like when you get into degen stuff, it's like, okay, all you're really doing is a different flavor of gambling, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to come to that conclusion. I've tried to be pretty outspoken about my acknowledgement that a lot of the DeFi we engage in is probably based on Ponzinomics, and in that sense, it really does become this sort of gambling-esque thing. If it's all Ponzinomics, then basically you're just sort of gambling on the best way to leverage everybody else's lack of acknowledgement that it's all based on Ponzinomics, and you're gambling on the right time to get out before you have a Terra Luna type event.
That's exactly where my head was going with it. It's like, okay, it's especially as somebody like there was a Reddit post. This guy's like, when should I get in on this particular DEX? And I'm like, what? Like, so that you can get their utility token that provides no value? Like, I don't like. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah, I love the utility propositions of some of the tokens. It's like, hey guys, this is a utility token. You get to vote on which other Ponzinomic financial products will be included in our Ponzinomics based financial product. It's really important governance we're doing here. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the utility.
Well, now it's like, hey, you can also be a defendant on our DAO.
Yeah, the CFTC, man, they were not joking around on that. And it's like, man, people, I think definitely in crypto, one of the things we definitely do is we overestimate the sturdiness of our operational security on those kind of things. Like, people definitely think they're operating in complete anonymity, and like when you look at the trail that people were laying out just yesterday in the case of that CFTC case, there, people were straight up like, hey, look, if they subpoena Infura is going to give them the information they're requesting, and then they're going to go to your ISP. And if you think you're smart and used a VPN, then they're just going to go to your VPN, and they will have your IP address. Like, it's very routine. This is very routine for the people who'd be doing this to you. Like, this is not anything new to them.
Yeah. So is this any different than like the BitTorrent days where you got cited for, hosting videos that you were not supposed to be hosting,
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same. I was in I remember I was just the right age to go through that period where it's actually very reminiscent of where crypto is right now. We were in college, and Napster, this is before BearShare or LimeWire or any of the other sort of clones of Napster. Napster came up, and we were all in college. We're like, what? Free music? Are you kidding me? And so we all started using Napster, and everybody was like, it's totally fine. It's legal. And, like 10% of the people were like, I'm not so sure if this is legal. And then, 5 years later, the entire world was like, this is robbery. You're thieves. You're stealing intellectual property. I feel like crypto maybe is in a very similar space where people are like, this is fine. We don't have to abide by securities laws or commodities laws or basically any of the federal regulations. It's all good because it's crypto. It was very similar in those early Napster days. Everybody's like, it's Napster. It's different. It's okay.
It's okay if every time, or if every like 10% of the time I get a Metallica song that I wasn't really supposed to do because of that whole like Napster days where they kind of like infiltrated that area.
Oh my God, you identified the right band too, because it was Lars from Metallica who first kind of like raised the initial gigantic ruckus about the IP theft, right?
Exactly. That's why I said it.
Yeah, you hit the right band for sure. That was like the turning point when Metallica was like, "Hey, this is theft," and everybody's like, "That's the least metal thing I've ever heard." And then, pretty much everybody was like, no, actually, yeah, this is theft. You guys are a bunch of thieves."
I feel like now in my circle group, I'm hearing more about that theft coming back now because of the kind of the pendulum swing of a la carte services and how that's just gobbling up people's money.
Could you elaborate on that? What do you mean by what types of a la carte services are you talking about?
Mainly like streaming services, so like before it was like you paid for, cable or satellite and it was a one set fee and, you pay for whatever program, and it was all inclusive. Now it's like, okay, I have to have Disney, I have to have Netflix, I have to have Discovery, I have to have Peacock, and like maybe I named off some redundant stuff there, but and then they're all raising their rates and now all of a sudden it's more expensive.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We've also kind of entered this period where the initial like loss tolerable business models of a lot of these businesses have worn off, and they're like, okay, we provided you guys with this great streaming service for $9.99 and then $11.99, and now we need to make some money. We've got all the users, we're going to monetize more heavily. And it's kind of a question whether people will return to their pirate ways, or they'll be willing to pay these higher prices. I see this with a lot of things. I mean, with in North America, with like Lime scooters, prices go up, and all of a sudden people are like, actually, I liked you at 40% of the current price, but I don't like you at 100% of the current price.
I do wonder, so kind of going back into like more Cardano's talk, like, so
Yeah.
a lot of the dexes prior, like when you're talking about like Sunday Swap, Min Swap, not really Musu Swap, but Wing Riders, they have those batcher fees. I wonder if that's still going to be like a prevalent thing moving forward, with the transactions and everything there.
Ooh, this is a big topic. Okay, before I address this, I'm going to be right back. While I'm gone, I'm gone like 60 seconds or something like that. But while I'm gone, tell people tell people why you chose Cardano. Tell people the story of why you came to Cardano. We've got a lot of Gen 3 blockchains you could have chosen. While I'm gone, tell people why you chose Cardano or why you stay in Cardano. I'll be right back.
Sure. I'm sure most of you probably have the same, sentiment, especially since you're probably longtime followers of AOS. But I mean, part of it was kind of the hearing Charles and his public exposure, and his day-to-day stuff, and like hearing about like what he really thought about was kind of the opening to it all there. Then after that, it's like, well, you look at, well, you have, staking that you can unstake, and, it's like liquid staking and all the stuff that you hear about, the negatives with Ethereum today is a huge thing. The fees being deterministic are huge for me. And it's like, well, what do you do with Cardano today? And to be honest, a lot of it is more degen, NFT and some trading with various coins and stuff. But just because of what's available right now, that's pretty much all that is available. That's really it, though. I mean, there hasn't been a use case really there. I'm kind of waiting for new things to come in, especially when it comes to when I can loan or lend against or borrow against my assets in crypto today.
Perfect timing. Just got back, and it looks like this the way they position you on the back of the jet ski, it makes it look like you're just urinating on everything. Like you're just taking a piss on everything.
Yeah.
I would like to think that was intentional on the part of the FutureFest developers. I can't imagine that they didn't do this on purpose.
Now you have a goal. I'm just going to be pissing on this yellow guy.
That's right. We can travel around the FutureFest virtual world and just piss on everything. This is great.
For the record, this guy does not have a name, so I'm assuming he's an NPC. So we're not really doing too much there.
It's not a disrespectful action towards a real.
And I'll make sure to do it to the white and pink person, just so I'm not, being racist.
You're being diverse in who we urinate on. This is great. That kind of brings up an interesting topic. I know I keep straying from the Cardano and crypto topics in general, but it's going to be interesting. I think as we enter more and more into the era of AI, obviously we're a long time deep in it. If we go back to the roots of the roots of AI, but as we get deeper and deeper into humanity's interaction with AI, it's going to be interesting. Because like right now, like I was struck by the fact that probably most people would agree that it's okay for us to be urinating, pseudo urinating on the AI. Here we have somebody saying, "Monkey boy, I'm human." if that was actually you, Monkey boy, let us know. That was accidental. If that was actually you, I don't think so though. But it'll be interesting as AI becomes more human-like and more convincing, and people are having the same kinds of interactions with AI as the one Google developer had with the Google chatbot that he sort of was tending towards convincing the world was sentient. It'll be interesting to see how we sort of transition and people start trying to ascribe the same kinds of like rights and things to AI. Like we saw, I think in parts of Europe, we saw the assignment of previously human-only rights to primates. I think what was it? Spain decided to give certain rights that were previously known as human rights to primates, and like maybe they were banning certain types of zoo installations with primates and things like that. It'll be interesting to see if we encounter the same things with AI. How do you feel? Do you think that's nonsense, or do you think there's a chance we go through that same kind of evolution with AI?
So were you a fan of the HBO show Silicon Valley?
God, every single person I know has watched every episode of the show, and I've literally only seen maybe 3 30-second clips.
Okay, so there's a one of the 4 main characters on there is Guilfoyle, and he is very antisocial and that kind of thing. Like wants to be minimalistic and engagement with other humans and everything. So he develops this AI that talks to his longtime like kind of coworker Dinesh, and he convinces Dinesh that Dinesh is talking to him via like Slack, and it's really the AI. And he like Dinesh eventually finds out like through some like Guilfoyle is off like making coffee, and Dinesh looks over and happens to see him making coffee while he's responding to him in like the normal Guilfoyle way, I think like we probably will get there, whether or not it's going to be in like the next 10 to 20 years. I am kind of fascinated, and I think I'm maybe too far down my career to go into AI and kind of machine learning and that kind of stuff. But it's something like I'll watch YouTube videos over it and like the different mechanisms of which it AI learns and those behavioral patterns pick up is really interesting to me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I prior to this, I'm always like gauging how much to dox, but prior to this, I definitely had positions where I was working with like large development teams, and it was amazing to me how many of the basically young developers on these teams, when I would sit down with them and actually talk about what they were trying to do in life, how many of them were directly aimed at machine learning, as their future. And we even, as part of that job, we started meeting with some pretty far advanced, I'll just call them machine learning service providers. And it was kind of amazing. It was, at the time, it was kind of amazing to me how far along, like what they could actually provide. But I'm kind of like you. I'm gonna sit on the sidelines and watch this go down. Some friends of mine will probably be directly involved in that, but it's gonna be fun from the sidelines to watch all that go down. Colby Bird says, "I'm late. Who's the guest?" It's Shawnage. Shawnage is the guest. Shawnage, do you want to shout out while we have people on? Do you want to shout out do you want to shout out any stake pools or anything like that?
Oh, make sure you delegate the Army of Spies for sure.
I was gonna say, no, I was gonna. I thought maybe you had a stake pool that you wanted to shout out.
No, not mine are all like self-interest stuff. In terms of anyone here, I definitely, with the content you provide, it would be AOS.
Oh, that's nice of you. I screwed up again. Obviously, I fell off the constantly moving train here. I'm gonna try to fix it, guys.
Yep, you just disappeared off existence.
Yep. Let's see if I can fix it here. I apologize, guys. I think I'm gonna have to go out and come back in. Okay, let me do this real quick. So yeah, it'd be nice. I understand probably for server reasons, I can understand why FutureFest doesn't allow you to just kind of be inactive. But it would be nice if they had some kind of a setting you could check so that you could be a little bit more inactive. This is a pretty quick, for only 35 people on the server, this is a pretty quick booting.
I figured out how to go backwards really fast.
Oh, you know what's crazy? It looks like, because I think we're at midnight. We're at midnight Eastern. It looks like oh no, they are going to let me back in. Okay, I was afraid they booted me and I wasn't going to be able to back in because they told me the live stream has ended, but it looks like they are going to let me back in. Okay,
see if I can
my
get
bad.
back to your dock without having to jump off the jet ski.
Dude, I'll come to you. Yeah, if you don't want to relinquish the jet ski, I will come to you. The jet ski is a valuable item in FutureFest.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a jet ski right next to the dock too, so that works.
Okay, let's see. See how quickly I can get in here. Okay, let's take some questions here. I just can't care for a robot life for like it's a human. We'll see. We'll see how lifelike they get. I know we're probably all aware of the documentaries about men falling in love with real dolls. I think if robotics and AI get advanced enough, we might see some people caring very much for robot life based on how much they care for real dolls currently. How about that? How about the topic of people becoming sort of like degenerates of interaction with their sort of captive AI pets? What do you think the timeline on that looks like?
Oh, I don't know if I want to comment on that.
It's a little that part is a little frightening.
Oh, let's just say I have no investment in that arena.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Man, actually, let's see. Will they let me back in? Yeah, I'm getting this message that FutureFest is offline. Let's see. Will it actually let me back in?
Someone just logged back in. It's interesting.
Yeah, I noticed on the schedule that the world sort of goes offline. This Yummy Island FutureFest world goes offline tomorrow at some point in the afternoon Eastern time. So so I assumed it would just stay online kind of all night tonight. Let's see. It looks like they're going to let me in. Oh, I've got music. That usually means they're going to let me in.
You're in. You got a red character now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are you at? Are you over here on this side by the dock?
To your left. I'm to the left.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna come over there and see if I can. I think when I'm on the back of your jet ski, I don't have to move. I think they count that as activity that does not log me off. So let's see if I can get back on
for a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's see if I can get back on here. Oh, yep, I'm on. Okay, and we're in the open ocean. This is great. Okay, but I'm afraid people can't see it. Apologies, everybody in the chat. Let me share that screen again. Doing a terrible job here. As per usual, I do a terrible job on the sharing the appropriate tab. Okay, now we're back. I think everybody can see. Okay, we are back in business. Monkey Boy says, don't screw with Sentience. Probably a good call. Based on all the science fiction ever, probably a good call. It's like, don't bring back dinosaurs. Don't screw around with Sentience. Don't screw around with DNA. Don't dig holes where there might be, ancient bacteria. I think we learned that one originally from Fox Mulder. Okay. Oh, create the imaginable has a good point. Maybe FutureFest restarts their servers at midnight. Possible. Monkey Boy says, yo, people marry their Game Boys. Yeah, people get real weird with technology. This is for sure true. Let's hear the dance music. Yeah, we're a little too far away to hear the dance music right now.
It's ended too. It's gone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we've reached the end of their kind of performance schedule. So,
they're like buoys, right? What is that?
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. I can kind of turn around the
dancing characters.
Yeah, are those the little Nauru Yummy Island things?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Just kind of floating around in the water. Hopefully those are just buoys styled after the Nauru characters and there wasn't some ability to like ditch your pets in the water.
Yeah, there's ones without all the swimming gear on right there. But it must be. I don't know, you probably can't see it if you turn your camera 180 towards the beach.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, those are, live. Can I given the context of our conversation about AI and sentience, I probably shouldn't call them live, but they're definitely moving. Maybe moving is the right way to describe it. Okay. Life in China with Patrick says, topic of disaster recovery. How blockchain can be protected from CMEs? Sorry if it's a remedial question. CME, what are we talking about here? Yep, Monkey Boy has the same question. Country music entertainment. I would personally like to be protected from country music entertainment many times in my life. No offense to anybody who loves country music, but
that definitely sounds like something I need insurance on.
Yeah, I definitely have a few people in my life who have grown to suddenly expose me to country music entertainment, and I try to avoid it at all costs. David Pickler says coronal mass ejections. Another thing I would like to avoid, coronal mass ejections. I love this. Monkey Boy says Garrett Brooks. Garrett Brooks. Although I am not I'm pretty anti-country music. I know enough to know that his first name is not Garrett, but I love the fact that you wrote Garrett. Garrett Brooks coming from Massats. Garth. He says, okay, so Monkey Boy didn't know that Garth Brooks' first name is Garth. How old that dude must be? I mean, he was always like pretty bald, right? That was the reason he wore the hat. But I mean, he must be an old man now, because he was an old man when I was much younger. So he must be an old man now, right?
Garth Brooks is 60 years old.
He's only 60?
According to Google, yep.
Oh man, I would have guessed much older. Okay, so he was a much younger man than I thought when I was a young man. Okay, good to know. Work shirt is appreciating that. All right, so let's have some questions, guys. The performance is over, so we don't have any music going on. What kind of questions? What kind of questions do people have? We've got 25 people on the live chat. Okay, any thoughts on Charles Hoskinson's speech at Mainnet 2022 conference? I actually covered this. I think was it yesterday or the day before on the video. So that was an interview by the co-founder of Messari. And if you know anything about the history of Cardano and Messari, it's that, you know, maybe I'm painting with too broad a brush, but Messari basically pretends like we don't exist. I think there was one person at Messari who likes Cardano. I think they had some kind of a big disclosure event. I think I could be making a mistake here, but I believe it was Messari. They had some kind of a big disclosure event, and there was one guy who disclosed he owned Cardano out of the entire Messari staff. Maybe I've got the wrong entity, but I think this is right. His name was Gareth. Does this ring a bell to you at all, Shawnage? Or
Yeah, I'm recalling that too. I'll let you continue first before I give my opinion.
yeah. So, anyways, so it seems based on that, if I'm remembering the right entity, not many people at Messari are fans of Cardano, which is not a surprise at all, given their coverage or dearth of coverage of Cardano. They basically don't cover us much at all. And in that interview with the co-founder of Messari, I'm not naming him on purpose because I don't want people to visit his social media out of pettiness, but he made it pretty clear he's not a fan of Cardano. He was trying to be polite, but he was what I would call politely rude during the interview. And he was asking Charles questions like, hey, you're talking about the Vassal hard fork like it's going to be no big deal. It's going to be this seamless seamless upgrade for you guys. Is that because Cardano doesn't have enough users to, have any trouble with an upgrade? And then he asks questions, other similarly pejorative questions. Super obvious the guy doesn't like Cardano, which is kind of the crypto party line. If you're a fan of Ethereum, there's sort of this party line that we don't like Cardano. And of course, this all goes back to the fact that Charles was around in the early days for only 6 months in Ethereum, and it didn't end well, seemingly, between him and some of the other founders, including Vitalik. They're not gigantic fans of each other, even though it seems like these days Charles doesn't have much of a problem with Vitalik, but it seems like for some period of time, there was no love lost between those two. And so the party line in crypto, if you are a fan of Bitcoin, you hate everybody. If you're a fan of Ethereum, you hate Cardano, probably among other blockchains. So the interview went the way you'd expect. I thought Charles did a brilliant job of killing the guy with kindness while disputing all of his pejorative questions, or the statements that were embedded in his pejorative questions. What did you think, Shawnage?
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment there that the guy from Ansari was just like almost rude in his way of asking the questions. And then at the same token, I felt like Charles was very like, I only have like this amount of time and I need to speak as quick as I can with as much information about it.
Yeah, it kind of amazes me because Charles is so detailed in the AMAs that I often expect him not to be so good when he has these very short amounts of time. I noticed it especially in his congressional testimony and also in that interview. When he knows he has a very short amount of time, he does in my opinion, a shockingly good job of fitting the highest priority bits of data into those time slots.
Definitely. I was feeling though, like if I was someone that was less technically inclined, like I would be like, wow, this guy is just vomiting words.
That's that's interesting. I've never thought about that. If somebody doesn't know any, like, let's say they're not even the person who knows nothing about crypto, but let's say they're a very non-technical participant in the crypto ecosystem. How much of what Charles says do they even understand? I guess I've never even thought about that before, but this is probably an important question.
Like I think in my role, you know, in my fiat job, it's always like, okay, what put yourself into that, okay, into these people that are, you know, using your systems, whatever they may be. And I always try to like look at, okay, what is these other perspectives? Like what is a person from Ethereum, like, you know, a diehard Ethereum person, like how do they perceive this? And, you know, in some ways I can actually get the sort of like negative connotation that people relate with Charles when they get like just the clips of it, you know. But again, it's like if you just take that for, you know, as face value and that's him, that's kind of a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely super lucky in that we have the spokesman for our entire ecosystem who's a billionaire. He could just walk away and live out the rest of his life on the money he's already accumulated. He's extremely well spoken. If you know, given the conversation we're having right now, if you understand the nomenclature of the industry he's in, and he's extremely passionate to a fault. Dude wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's extremely passionate, not just about, we're talking about Hoskinson. Somebody's asking Hoskin. He's so passionate, not just about his own ecosystem, Cardano, but about the goals of crypto in general. And one of the interesting things about that to me is that when I say like the goals of crypto, that's definitely like sort of intertwined with a lot of the very libertarian beginnings of crypto, which I think at this point, you know, we could say that probably turns off some people who you know might be in a very different part of the political spectrum than a lot of that you know, libertarian basis for crypto. Not that crypto shouldn't be, you know, in some ways maybe apolitical. Not that there's a place for everybody regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, but it's undeniable the beginnings of crypto, the roots of crypto. There's a lot of libertarian stuff intertwined with that. So, I mean, God, I think even given all of that, whether good or bad, it's like we're super lucky to have such a passionate spokesperson for our ecosystem. Because I mean, we could have somebody who just kind of like, you know, sits in his ivory tower and develops, you know, the consensus protocol, and, you know, doesn't want to go to mainnet if he knows that the founder of the entity throwing the party, you know, is super hostile. Like, we could have a founder like that, and I think a lot of blockchains probably do have founders who are only going to go, you know, to the friendly interviews. They're not going to go behind enemy lines, if you will.
I think he does a good job there. Then also the other side of that spectrum is, which we shouldn't ignore, is like we have to kiss frogs. We have to push code out, even if it's bad. Yeah,
that kissing frogs thing. I think you make a good point. I think people underestimate how much you have to do that when you're, I mean, he kind of made the point in that interview. I mean, he's running a $15 billion ecosystem with, you know, how many millions of users at this point. Like, you've got a lot of people you have to deal with to make all this work. I saw this nowhere less prevalently than in Cardano's partnership with certain nation states. I mean, it's like there was a lot of talk about this, you know, at a certain point in the last 12 months, but it's like part of the strategy of Cardano is to partner with nation states, and sometimes with nation states things are going to happen that people aren't going to like. But if your goal is to help people, there are going to be people in every nation state, and even if you don't agree with all the policies of the prevailing government in that nation state, if you want to help those people, you kind of got to deal with that government. You definitely have to, you might have to kiss some frogs in order to help the people, but it's like, where do you draw the line? How bad is it? And like, how much do you have to be some kind of like international relations political scientist in order to determine, who's a frog, who is too much of a frog to do business with? But yeah, I think that's like there's like fractals of that. It's like we see it within our own ecosystem, and we see it on the on the level of the international political order, this kissing frogs thing.
That's one of the things I really like about Charles is his like way of kind of like taking in that input, or these personal or emotional or group emotional states, and describing it like this is the solution we need to have for this, and drawing that out. I really, in some of his AMAs, he's gone into detail about that. I don't have a specific here, but I've really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to me. There's like this level of it's weird because he's a very passionate person. Obviously, I think everybody agree with that at times, and then you see him taking these very pejorative questions from the Masari guy, and it's like Charles is like the ultimate professional. All of a sudden, he's just like smiling and giving the perfect textbook answer. And I always wonder when he walks off that stage, what he like mutters under his breath about that guy. But while he's on stage, at times he's like the perfect professional. And it's like, how much, given what he knows about, that person's obvious views towards our ecosystem, like how much does he have to swallow his pride? But he's obviously doing it. So it's, yeah, I definitely admire that. That's we're the beneficiaries of that as part of the ecosystem, I think. Man, how much do you think this whole, so Cardano has got like this like super sort of like early crypto-centric ethos of creating this like, level economic playing field for the whole world. How much do you think there will be conflict between that and the like motives of certain people building projects who are just like, yeah, that's all great. If we can have that, great. But really, I just want to make money in crypto. Like, obviously, we see that in the EVM world. There's a huge number of projects, and there's like a very strong profit motive there, which is fine. I mean, I'm a hardcore capitalist. Like, I believe in profit as a good ordering mechanism in economic systems. And but how much do you think Cardano runs into trouble at any point, or is there conflict over that sort of like crypto thing where people are just trying to make money? They're like, man, that's all great and fine, but I'm just trying to make a few bucks here. And sort of this like, let's make a better economic system for the world. Do you think those things ever run into conflict, or do you think it's just kind of like they kind of slide past each other like ships passing in the night?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. It's a multi-threaded thing. A lot of people are just, I think there's a good portion that are just like, how do I get a quick buck? How do I do these degen things that get me a quick buck, and I'm done,
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think it's like, no matter what you do, you're going to have both sort of factions within any blockchain ecosystem, and that's the way it's going to be. Okay, how long have we been on? We've been on for an hour and 54 minutes here. I appreciate Shawnage for jumping on and fielding so many questions. We've got 29 people in the chat. Why don't you hit us with your final questions, and then we can sign off here. I think is FutureFest like largely empty now? Are we the only ones cruising around FutureFest? Are there a bunch of NPCs?
It's just me and these beach balls. Let's see. I don't think there's really anyone else on. I was just like messing with the physics mechanics of these beach balls, getting them like spin like super fast.
What do you think about when I look over there at the beach? I see sort of like green banners over people's names. Do we think those are real people, or do we think those are?
I think those are people. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few people still in here. Okay, let's see. Okay, what kind of?
So why are some green and some are blue?
Let me see. Let me get a little closer here and see if I can.
And these all seem like typical online anonymous names.
Yeah, one of them is FutureFest, so I assume he's part of the project. Yeah, they are pretty. T-Sickle, Crex the Mage, FR Lex.
Like I wouldn't pass it as a. I mean, I would think it's just a regular user.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're AFK, they've been AFK for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Away from keyboard for people wondering what the hell does AFK mean? Okay. When FutureFest Cardano land mint? I know of no such thing. I don't know if they have any plans for that. Maybe they do, but I don't know about it. Monkey Boy, what is this? Are you talking about what games people are playing? Workshirt is verifying Crex is a real person. Okay, so we got some real people. Maybe they are AFK though right now. Ada Veteran says, thanks, guys. Yeah, for an impromptu little venture into FutureFest, I think we did pretty good here tonight. Any last questions? Hit us with any last questions. Again, thank you to Shawnage for jumping on and helping out with us so much.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a good, not a bad way to spend a couple hours on a Thursday night. How about you, Shawnage? Anything you want to say to the remaining people in the chat?
No, it was an honor to be on here with you.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for jumping on. All right, guys. Well, maybe we will sign off here. We're down to 24 people in the chat. It is pretty late. I think we're looking at almost 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So maybe we will jump off right here. Again, thank you so much to Shawnage for jumping on in the middle of the live stream. Here's one question. Tadius Tossless says, how do you think this compares to what Pavia has coming? I'll let Shawnage chime in on this, but man, for me, I don't think we know what Pavia has coming. We've seen some videos and stuff, but I don't think until we can actually get on the ground, I don't think we're really going to know what Pavia or any of the other metaverses is going to be like. What do you think, Shawnage?
Exactly that. I mean, unless we have something tangible, it's really hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously like I love Pavia, and I'm super excited to see what they have. But until we can get in there, I don't think we're really going to know what it is. All right, I think it is time to sign off, guys. We're at $1:58, an hour and 58 minutes. Thank you so much to everybody for signing on. Shawnage, again, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys soon.